What is up, YouTube? It is me, Topher Crost, here to do a deck profile for you, a Blue Eyes deck profile. I'm sorry I'm getting this up late. I just finally got my last card in the mail today. So, without further ado, oh, wait, before I get started, I almost forgot to say, please, if you have not yet, check out my Apprentice Illusion Magician giveaway. I will leave a link in the description. It is going to be awesome, and it ends November 30th, so please enter before that you lose your chance. And without further ado, I just would like to say I'm a little bit sick, so I apologize if I sound stuffy. As audio quality, I should be fine because I just got a new mic stand. Thank you, Cameron, and hopefully you guys will see that in the new video. So my mic is a lot closer to my face now, my good mic, so I can use it a lot more. But without further ado, I think I've talked enough. I've already taken up about a minute in the video, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is a Blue Eyes White Dragon Chaos Max deck, so fair warning, I don't know too much about into the extra deck. I never delve really all that much into the extra deck. I like to make main deck focused decks for the new Link format. So, let's do this. First up, we have Blue Eyes White Dragon. Obviously, you're going to run 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons in a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. He is your resource. He's pretty much the way you do just about anything. Next up, we have the card that the deck is based around, besides Blue Eyes, obviously. Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. I'm currently running 3 Chaos Max Dragons in the deck. You want to get him out just about every game, and what he does is he's a 4,000 0. The only way you can get him out is by ritual summoning, and with the cards that I have in this deck, and I will show you a little bit more of those later, and he inflicts piercing battle damage and cannot be destroyed or targeted by your opponent's card effects. Actually, he inflicts double piercing battle damage, which if you don't know what that is, that's if your opponent has a monster in defense mode and they have 0 defense. Instead of 4,000 damage, you would do 8,000 damage and insta-win the game. So he forces your opponent to play in attack mode, and he's almost untargetable, undestroyable, unless by battle for the most part. So I love running him. Basically that invincible monster. And in this deck, I pretty much get him out every single time. Next up, we have Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. You're obviously going to run 3 of these. Either you're going to be getting him out first turn or him out first turn. Very rarely we actually get your Blue Eyes White Dragons out first turn unless you Sage, but he is a good card. Basically, he functions as a Blue Eyes on the field. He also can function for a target to summon Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, and his effect is you can destroy one of your opponent's monsters on the field with his effect, but he does not get to attack, which is fine because you end up usually putting him in the extra, or sacrificing him or something anyway later in the turn, like for a ritual summoning or maybe for getting into your extra deck. So next up is the new cards to the deck, the one I've been waiting on, Manju of the 10,000 Hands. So in the last video I said I didn't want to run him because he was a little bit bricky, and I kind of found out with some other cards later in the deck that he's a light monster, so he actually helps me run the Infinity Engine, which is later in this deck. And he helps me get my ritual spells out, so I can run less of him. Not to mention he functions as a light monster, so he works better than just having the ritual spells in the deck. He was just a little bit bricky before because I never, I always end up having more than one of him in my hand. But I figured out a way around that with all the light discarding that you can do in this deck now, so he works perfectly fine. But in short, what he does is he's either going to search your Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon or the ritual spells to summon him. So if you have a Chaos Max Dragon or a way to get him in your hand, go ahead and play Manju and then get a ritual spell card, and if you do not have Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon in your hand, but you have a ritual spell card, go ahead and use him to get Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon in the hand. And he's, like I said, he's also a light monster, so it just kind of works out perfect. Just a forewarning, though, he is like $5 now, because he makes ritual decks pretty good. Next up, we're going to do 3 White Stone of Ancients. In my opinion, the most important tuner you can play in a Blue Eyes deck. Get sent to the graveyard, you can summon a Blue Eyes monster, which means either Blue Eyes White Dragon, or Spirit Eyes. Why do I always forget his name unless I look at him? Dragon Spirit of White. There we go. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you get to summon him out of the deck, or you can summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Very good for getting them out, and he's very, very easy to get into the graveyard of one of 6 ways in this deck. So, You can even discard him to get Infinity, get the Infinity Engine out, which is great. Or you can discard him with the effect of this next monster I'm putting is Sage with the Eyes of Blue. I am running him at 2 because he really doesn't, he helps, but his first effect, which gets a tuner in the hand, I never end up using. His second effect, which summons the Blue Eyes, I always end up using. So I'm running him at 2. I don't think he needs to be at more than 2 for now. You could run 3 in the deck, and it really doesn't brick up the deck too much if you like Sage with the Eyes of Blue. Switch out maybe like Silver's Cry or something like that. But I run 2. I enjoy, I get him just enough to where he's useful, and essentially what he lets me do is get a Blue Eyes out of my deck, or I can get a tuner if I play him in attack mode, get a tuner, level 1 light tuner from my deck to my hand, which is also very good, and he obviously sets up tuner plays because he's a level 1 light tuner. Alright, next up, another new addition to the deck. I guess I'll put him right here. We got 2 Galaxy Soldier. You only want to run 2, because the literal only point to having Galaxy Soldier in this deck is so you can get Infinity out, Cyber Dragon Infinity, to negate cards. That's the only reason you're going to run Galaxy Soldier. You only want to run 2 because he searches out himself. So, very, very simple. Just run 2. I wouldn't recommend running 3. Some people do, so they see him more. But I very rarely need Cyber Dragon Infinity because my main card to go out to is Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. So I run 2 because Cyber Dragon Infinity still protects your dragons. All right, next up, Dragon Spirit of White. Very, very easily, he's a spell destroyer. He destroys spells and traps on your opponent's side of the field. Sorry, I'm seeing if I can zoom up a little better. There we go. That's way better. So he basically just gets rid of your opponent's spells and traps, and then you can tribute him to get a Blue Eyes White Dragon out onto the field. Very good card. I only play 1 because he's so easy to get in the graveyard with cards like Dragon Shrine, and he's so easy to recycle. I've never had to have more than 1 in the game, and I always get to use him, even though I only have 1. So next and the last monster in this deck is the White Stone of Legend. So I basically use him to get Blue Eyes in my hand. That's what you use them for. That's all you pretty much use them for. But if you need Blue Eyes in your hand instead of on the field at the end of the turn, you send him to the graveyard instead of White Stone of Ancients. That's pretty much what he's there for. Obviously, he sets up tuner plays as well, but that's pretty much it for the monsters. All right, let me get these guys off the field. God, I sound so stuffy. Like I can hear my own voice, and it sounds really stuffy. No. Let me just get these. I just want to roll you up over here. All right, let's just get you over here. All right, next up, we are going into the spell cards. Now, I don't have any trap cards in this deck still because I don't think this deck really needs trap cards. Solemn Warning might be the only decent trap card to play in this deck because you usually have more powerful monsters than your opponent, so it doesn't matter anyway. And first, we have the Melody of Awakening Dragon. Discard 1, get 2 level 8 dragon, or basically Blue Eyes White Dragon, Chaos Max Dragon, or Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon into your hand. Any dragon with 3,000 or more attack and also 2,500 or less defense. It's basically built for Blue Eyes. But it's very good for searching those cards. Like if you have a Blue Eyes in your hand, you can get and a ritual spell card, you can get Chaos Max into your hand, or you can get Alternative into your hand. And if you need to get a card to your graveyard, like White Stone of Ancients, you can discard it, and then good combo plays come off that card. All right, next up is Dragon Shrine. Send a dragon-type monster to the graveyard and from your deck, and if it is normal, a normal-type dragon, you can send another dragon-type monster to the graveyard. I almost always use this to get White Stone of Ancients into the graveyard, Dragon Spirit of White into the graveyard, considering it's considered a normal monster, and then follow it up with a White Stone of Ancients to get a Blue Eyes out on the field. That's basically what I use it for, and then I sometimes can end up Dragon Spirit of the White from the graveyard that same turn if I get this next card, which I'm going to go into. But very, very good card, basically like a Foolish Burial for dragons. It's too good. It's too good. Next up, Return of the Dragon Lords. Probably, I would have to say the best spell card in this deck is Return of the Dragon Lords. So, can revive a level 5. I don't know why I said level 5. Revive one level 7 or 8 dragon-type monster and put it onto the field. Also, if a dragon-type monster would be destroyed by battle, you can, card effect, you can banish Return of the Dragon Lords and save it. It's basically this deck's version of Magician Navigation, but better. And you always got to run 3. It's Monster Reborn that also has a grave effect. Like it's way too good, and it'll get your cards out. I'm surprised that this card isn't limited in some way, shape, or form in modern or in tournaments and stuff. Let's see. Next up is Trade In. Pretty much the only draw power I have in this deck is Trade In because this deck has so much search. I don't really need draw power. You basically get to choose what cards you pull out of the deck. So I run 3 trade-in just in case my hand gets too bricky with Blue Eyes. You know, send one to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. Next up, I got the Ritual spell cards to get Chaos Max Dragon out. I'm only running 3 total because of Manju. So Chaos Form lets you send a Blue Eyes from your hand, deck, or graveyard if you send it from the graveyard, or field or graveyard. And hand, field, or graveyard, and if you banish a Blue Eyes from, or if you use a Blue Eyes from the graveyard, sorry, like I said, I'm sick, you will banish the Blue Eyes from the graveyard instead of just sending it to the graveyard. So you can send it from the hand or the field to the graveyard, which I typically will send it from the hand and then reborn the Blue Eyes with Return of the Dragon Lords. Or you can banish it from the graveyard. A good way to get Chaos Max Dragon out, because you always have a Blue Eyes in the graveyard. Next up is Advanced Ritual Art. I'm running 1. Very good to have in your opening hand if you have a Chaos Max Dragon. You can send a Blue Eyes straight from the deck to the graveyard and summon Chaos Max Dragon. Like I said, it can be searched out from Manju, so I only need to run the 1 so we don't brick. Because I never ever use more than 1 Advanced Ritual Art a game. I always have Blue Eyes out on the field. Easy, always have Blue Eyes out on the field. Or in the graveyard. Next up, Silver's Cry. Just another way to reborn get them back from the graveyard, your dragons. And this one can be just about any dragon, so that's good. And it's a quick play. Gonna kind of gloss over it, because everybody knows Silver's Cry. I mean, it's a pretty simple spell. And next up, Twin Twisters. Oop. Running it at 2. The one downside that this deck has is magic and trap cards can screw you over. So before you start playing anything, if you have a Twin Twisters in your hand, play a Twin Twisters, get rid of 2 of the back row, and then start your turn. It typically works out a lot better for you. And last but not least, for the main deck, Raigeki. I only play 1 because you can only play 1, and it's basically a good way to help OTK. A lot of times this deck will OTK first turn, which is why I didn't end up running, what is it called, Upstart Goblin. You can run Upstart Goblin instead of Silver's Cry. You know, you switch those in and out. I can switch those in and out if I want the deck to just be a little bit quicker. But Raigeki I typically keep in there just so I can OTK. And while I'm talking about OTK, you always want to go second with this deck. You never want to go first. If you can help it, always go second, get that extra card draw, and you always want to be the first one to attack. As many monsters as you can pump out, you really don't have to worry about Solemn Warnings or anything like that too much, because you can pump out monsters faster than what they know what to do with. So, all right, and now I'm going into the extra deck. I know I've been talking a lot, but now we're getting the extra deck, and I'm going to warn you, I'm going to gloss over some of the extra deck simply because I only go out into certain cards usually. The other cards in the extra deck are just in case cards, and because I have place fillers, 15 cards in the deck, and I never use most of them. Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. Good to use. Basically, this is probably the card in the extra deck that I go out to the most. Maybe Infinity and this card. 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, which could be Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. He cannot be destroyed by battle, and then if he fights something with that he doesn't destroy by battle, he can banish it. So a very, very, very good attack card. You might have to sack some life points, but you can get past that monster that maybe even Chaos Max Dragon can't get past. My favorite way to get him out is to have Alternative on the field and Blue Eyes. Activate Alternative's effect to destroy a monster, and then pull out, so you get that free destroy, and then before the battle phase, pull out Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. All right, next we're going into the synchros of the deck. I'm going to take these out of the picture. Those were the only fusions I have in this entire thing. I don't like to use polymerization or anything like that. Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. I always get it confused with the Dragon Spirit of White. A very nice Blue Eyes card. Sorry, I was checking to make sure I got the name right. I only need him to negate grave effects. He's very good for negating grave effects and getting Azure Eyes out. Those are the only 2 reasons you'll ever use them. Maybe Stardust Spark Dragon if you want to use Stardust Spark Dragon. But Azure Eyes is usually the one you're going to go out to start reviving, cycling dragons from the graveyard if you need to. Azure Eyes, basically what I just said. The turn it's summoned, the dragons you have on the field, the second it's summoned, cannot be destroyed, which is great. And it lets you revive dragons on your standby phase. Normal dragons, I believe. Yeah, normal monster in the graveyard, and you can bring it back. So. And last but not least for the synchros, Stardust Spark Dragon, just another way to save your dragons. If you're on Azure Eyes, I could have ran 3 Azure Eyes, I just wanted to have a little variety. Plus, I love the art on Stardust Spark Dragon, so. Alright, now we're getting into the XYZs. I'm going to try to make this quick. Apparently my audio cut out my last video, so I actually just cut the last part of the video off, and now I'm doing this part. Alright, so Cyber Dragon Infinity, obviously you want to get him out to negate some monsters. You know, steal your opponent's monsters and protect your dragons. He's basically your super negate card. You use Galaxy Soldier to get him out. Cyber Dragon Nova, basically, to get Cyber Dragon Infinity out. That's the whole reason for playing Nova. You'll never actually use Nova. Number 38 negates magic cards. Like I said, I'm going to probably be glossing over these because I don't ever go into my extra deck that often. But basically negates magic cards, spell cards, and allows and becomes an attack target as well. If you need him to be. Thunder End Dragon. So if your opponent has like 3,000 or less life points and you're just trying to win the game, go ahead and throw out Thunder End Dragon, destroy out all your opponent's cards, and then own. Number 107, effect negate. You know, just negate effects, get some attack power. Number 68, because he gets a lot of attack from the graveyard, and you know you have a lot of cards in your graveyard, and he only takes 2 blades to get out. So that's it for my XYZ. And last but not least, for my link, we have Decode Talker, because I didn't feel like buying that guy from Codebreaker. I can't remember, he's like the dragon with a circly head or whatever. I didn't want to buy him, so I got Decode Talker, just in case the game drags on and I have some Link Monster, you know, I need some Link Monsters out on the field, which I've never once used Decode Talker. I've used pretty much all my other cards at least once. I've never ever used Decode Talker, but I have him in the you know, extra deck just in case. Whew, okay, so that was my second time recording that, so I'm sorry if I tried to speed through it just a little bit. But that is all for this video. I just wanted to thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and enjoy my other videos. Like I said, my life is about the community. Well, my YouTube is about the community. My life is about my life. And like I said, I'm trying to rush through this little part because my audio killed on my last video. So without further ado, I'm going to say goodbye, and you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Like, comment, you know, discuss. I wanna discuss these deck profiles with you, and it's how I improve on my own decks. So you guys have a wonderful day. Topher Crost out.